Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be back with another Young Indian, part of the Voice of the Young series. Right now, we have with us Jyoti Arora Khanna. Let's listen to her. Over to you, Jyoti.
Hi, good evening from India. I am Jyoti Arora Khanna, born and brought up in Delhi, which is national capital of India. And but my grandparents migrated at the time of independence from the part of Pakistan. So I hold that kind of legacy and ancestral thing with me, identity with me, which is actually part and parcel of my life and who I am and how I see myself, given my history. I'll start first of all with my introduction in form of my qualifications because I feel that itself is a journey for me and has a lot of challenges as well. I did my schooling from a private school in Delhi, and then I started off with my undergraduation in economics from University of Delhi, from Daulat Ram College. And then, under peer pressure, I thought that master would be, a minimum thing that one has to go for. An undergraduation degree is not suffice. Then I did masters in economics from Ambedkar University, Delhi, which is a state university here. And that was actually a turning point for me because the experiences in Ambedkar University with the faculty and the kind of curriculum and assessment that they have, it actually transformed my viewpoint and also my ambitions as to where I want to go ahead with. Although it also brought a lot of conflicts as a youth at that time, that whether I want to pursue my career in economics, mainstream economics or not. But then my teachers, and I used to ask them the question, do you think that I'll be able to pursue PhD at some point of time or not? And they actually showed their trust in me, and they were very sure about me, although I was not that sure. However, after my master's experience, I was taking time to really decide whether it is economics or something else. And because I was always passionate towards teaching and school teaching, so I thought to constructively take this break to decide. And I did my bachelor's in education, that is called B.Ed, which is a professional degree for teachers, and I did that. And that 1 year experience, again was a turning point in a sense that it gave me exposure to a lot of perspectives in social sciences and the understanding of a child, then philosophy of education and educational policy was something that I felt fascinated with. And there I started building up this idea that this is something that it's a calling for me. This is where I relate myself with, and I can see my future here. And also coming from the background of economics, led a strong foundation to understand a lot of policies, which my peers were a bit struggling with. So I used that kind of, I would say, human capital. And I thought that this is the area where I would like to work. And that's how I decided to pursue education then. And I did my master's in education, that is again MEd, not MA education, but MEd from Central Institute of Education, which is now Faculty of Education from University of Delhi. And then I did my MPhil from NEPA, which is actually a think tank with the Ministry of Education. And that is where I somehow got exposed to this field of economics of education and started converging whatever understanding I had and started building up my expertise. And that was also a shift from, unlike B.Ed and M.Ed, where I was more confined and working in this area of school education, I shifted towards higher education. And after NEPA, my MPhil from NEPA, now I'm pursuing my PhD from Zakir Hussain Centre of Educational Studies, which is in Jawaharlal Nehru University, Delhi. So yes, that was my long journey and tough decisions to shift. But I'm happy with that shift because now at this point of time, I am using the understanding from both the fields, nuances, especially from education sector, which I feel otherwise would have been an incomplete journey if I would have been into a mainstream economics. No offense, but that's my personal opinion and belief. So I'll stop here before I move further if sir has any question. Okay, so you are on mute though, but okay, so yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah,
It's
so
your turn to speak.
yeah. So apart from that, last year I also got an opportunity to
We had an internet glitch. She's out of it now. She was talking about another opportunity. So Jyoti, go ahead, please.
So it was last year in 2023 where I got this an opportunity which was again very transforming and the first ever opportunity as a research scholar, which was Australia India Research Students Fellowship, where 35 Indian students and early career researchers from India got selected for this bilateral program, which was funded by the Australian government.
Hmm.
Where we got this opportunity to visit Australian universities in the centers where we are pursuing our research in. So I happened to visit University of Melbourne in the Center for their higher education, and that was my first encounter with the international university. Also, one of the good ranking universities. If we see the ranking frameworks, and also relating it to my PhD area. So currently, I am pursuing my research in the area of university governance, where I am understanding the institutions of eminence. So for our audience, I would like to tell it in brief. So institutions of eminence are the set of institutions, 12 as of now, out of which 8 are public and 4 are private. So these institutions of eminence have been selected by the Ministry of Education, and these are actually the set of institutions which were already doing good, but then they are all expected to do better in terms of becoming world-class universities and featuring in the top 500 and then top 200 universities across the world. So primarily I'm working to understand the idea of institutional autonomy and academic autonomy, both in terms of the institution and faculty, that how that is affecting them, what is this idea of autonomy in practice, and how that impacts the creativity and innovation when we talk about research and teaching. So this particular AIRS fellowship, AIRS fellowship, was also an experience where I could in person visit these world-class universities. So in addition to University of Melbourne, I happened to visit University in Sydney, Sydney University, and then also Macquarie University, and could talk to some of the people who are in the policy making or probably working at the policy centers for the university. Uh, and also our professional legal experts who set up the strategy documents and the strategy part of the university as to how they have to sustain and improve further, because Australian education system is a different ballgame altogether if we compare to India. So India is still a very, at a very beginning stage, at a very starting stage. But given that a lot of partnership and collaborations are happening with the Australia and India, we can see it in form of the international universities who have come to India to set up their universities. The first two of them are in fact Australian universities. So that's how I at least got that idea coming out of what is there in theory and books, but to real experience. It was also different in terms of, if I see myself as an international student and who has happened to be in that setup for the first time. So I could understand those challenges and what are the opportunities, what are the concerns for the students who are looking forward to their engagement beyond their higher education, who want to really settle there professionally, and some of the other concerns which are more into the the society there at large. So, as social science researchers, you always observe the society also and how people are there. So, some of the upcoming concerns for the Australian society and the government as well, because of a lot of migration that has happened there. So, and after that, when University Accord happened in Australia, I could somehow have a bit, little more clarity as to why the government is concerned, but as also why there are counter arguments towards that. But coming back to my area, so my research is situated in the context of India, and I am into my last year of PhD, where I'm writing my thesis. And that's also very important to reflect as a researcher and also as a student who has been into, who has shifted the field. And now that we are talking, and I'm into a center which is interdisciplinary in nature. But then I would today like also to share my own experience, the challenges that I face as a student who is trying to build up this expertise, because it's not easy. It's always important to have a core, which for me could be economics and education. But then having that interdisciplinary expertise and building up into that, it's still very difficult if I talk in terms of Indian system. Although our national education policy is very ambitious and, actually taking a lot of steps to build multidisciplinarity and improve the quality of Indian higher education. But I believe that we have to really understand the field at the grassroots level, as to still there are some rigidities, disciplinary rigidities, where it's not just about the labor market, the expectations from the labor market, but also the very higher education, the way they are structured in terms of their admissions, in terms of their curricula, in terms of their assessment. So that's why it's actually very challenging to break through that or break those stereotypes that we have. And often many students from our center, because it's an interdisciplinary center, one of the exemplary in its own, because it's very old, we always get these questions that, oh, you are a student from economics, so where is economics in your study? But then we forget that we can always use the theoretical underpinnings from economics, but then go beyond that, and we can expand our theoretical framework in that ways to look the same field or the similar field from a very new lens or a very fresh lens. So that is one of my challenges also in terms of recruitment process. So because I want to be into academics, and often if we see how the eligibility criteria are designed, they are still not very flexible with this. So just to share one example, although that's my personal example and there could have been developments in the recent times. So my MPhil degree is not countable when I apply for faculty for mainstream economics in some of the central universities, because my MPhil degree is in MPhil in education. Although my area is in higher education and the perspectives that I have used are informed from economics, but at the end of the day, what matters is what is the degree, the title of the degree. So I lose on those marks, and because those scores are important to first get the screening done and then to pass, to get forward to the level of interviews and other examinations. So that is also one of the challenges that we are facing. But now that National Education Policy 2020 is coming into implementation, I am very hopeful that these structural barriers will be catered to, and we'll get more opportunities in these frames, so that these things can be overcome, because it's not just my issue, but a lot of students or the scholars face this barrier. Yeah. And one last thing I would like to share, which is that my own ambition, where I see myself to become a humanistic educator, because I'm also very much very much influenced, informed, and a practitioner of a concept called Soka education, which is based on the Buddhist philosophy, and where the Soka means value creating,
mm,
And the idea of this humanistic educator is to build the kind of education, to develop and evolve the kind of education where the learners are happy
mm,
and they'll be able to achieve their maximum potential, which is unique to them. So, unlike the potential that we talk in terms of the scores, the kind of achievements that we talk today in a neoliberal world. Unlike that, can we build a system where these learners are the end objective is that whatever they pursue, whatever they learn, they should become happy.
yeah.
Happy in a true sense, not in a materialistic
Mm,
sense,
mhm,
and should be able to really achieve their highest potential, be it
mm,
in terms of academics
mm,
or be in terms of some art forms and all, because still the youth in India are struggling to break through these societal barriers to establish themselves, their identity, to be, say, like a singer. Although there have been a lot of improvements and a lot of talent is coming up, but then the journey for them is not easy. So I think that transformation, one of the greatest pillar or the very foundational pillar is education.
mm,
How we see the learners
mm,
and what we want to achieve at the end of it. So my entire my goal for now life is to become that kind of educator where I can inculcate hope in the coming generations and the youth
mm.
that nothing is impossible actually, and everything can be achievable given that one is determined and dedicated and hardworking. But if we can slightly provide them more support in terms of everything, be it resources, be it in terms of emotional and mental support. So I want to become that kind of educator.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm. All right. I think I have a couple of questions. First is that you have talked mainly about your professional life.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your personal life?
I don't know where to start
How
with.
you went through all this. No, no,
Okay.
like what was in your mind when you were in college? How come you chose this? How come you chose that? Not just so professional, but how other people might be interested in knowing how a person like you, a woman like you, made your decisions, family. So, just like tell us.
Yeah.
I'm not directing you to any topic, but I'm saying for 1 minute, just stick to something more personal.
Yeah. So, to be very honest, I was not someone who always thought of pursuing economics in my undergrads.
Yeah.
I wanted to become a pediatrician, but could not because of the financial limitations of my family, because it required a lot of investments and
Mm,
time, which was not possible. So I am the elder daughter, and I
mm,
have a sibling, sister.
mm,
So I dropped that. Then I wanted to pursue UPSC.
mm,
But then again, I thought that it would require the resources, which probably, would be difficult for my family to afford at that point
mm,
of time.
mm,
So I dropped that also. And
mm,
then I wanted to become a journalist,
mm.
which my family didn't support it because it's not a go-to-go profession for women in terms of safety.
Yeah.
So there was no support. And then finally, I came to a conclusion that I want to pursue psychology as a
Mm,
profession. And I was almost very sure till the time I was appearing for my pre-boards in
mm,
12th. And one fine day, this was a coincidence. I was having a conversation with my biology teacher.
mm,
Although I was a commerce student, commerce with mathematics I had in
mm,
my 10th and 11, but then I was close to my biology teacher as well. So one of the conversation was that I was just sharing. She randomly asked me that what is that I want to go ahead with after
mm,
my
mm,
school.
mm,
And I said, I want to pursue psychology honors. And in that conversation, she started decoding what the psychology honors would be for me as a person, the
mm,
kind of person I am emotionally and all.
mm,
Um, and then there was this encounter, this conversation was kind of a brainwash for me towards economics. So it was all, it was all fantasized. It was all because economics still in our society, and it is a very elite subject, I would say. It's not an easy subject, and there's a lot of reputation that comes if someone is pursuing economics, subject like economics. And that happened. I was carried away from that conversation, carried away with that conversation, and then I told my parents that I would do economics honors, and they could not make sense of because for them this thing was new. All they knew was BCom and
Yeah.
BA
Yeah.
because my father pursued BCom honors and he's an accountant. So he was
Right.
very sure that I'll pursue at the end of the day, I'll pursue accountancy,
Right.
BCom
Right.
honors and become an accountant like him. And there were a lot of people who were pursuing that I should do CA.
Hmm.
I was headbent that I will not do CA because I've seen my father as an accountant working for 35 years. So CA is a big no. I'll go with economics honors.
Hmm. Hmm.
And and then there were, the moment you start with your undergraduation program, be it first year, second year, then this question come, what next? What
Okay.
do you want to do? And I was not clear, to be honest, what next, because this field for me was new. I had no guidance. And that is also one of the reason I had a very difficult time understanding, economics. It's not an easy subject. But then now it's a norm that you must have at least masters in your area. So I thought that, okay, let me do masters and meanwhile I figure out what I have to do.
Hmm.
And I did some internship in a bank during that time and tried finding out that what this field evolves into after, doing master, what are the options. And two things were very clear that one, I am not a person who can work in a corporate culture. That understanding I had. I have to go into academics because this is something I'm passionate about. I was. But then the question was economics or not. So then doing B.Ed because it's a safer option for still, girls today in Indian
Yeah.
society.
Yeah.
Then while I was doing B.Ed, I realized that I have the potential and I must not stop here.
Yeah.
I should continue building my expertise in this area because this is something now finally I understand that, I am passionate about, I can do.
Hmm.
And from there on, I started exploring more, talking to people, coming out of my comfort zone,
Hmm.
exploring what are the avenues.
Hmm.
So that's how, one after the other, the pathway unfolded.
Hmm.
So yes, but teachers and peers played a very significant role in my case to make decisions and informed decision, which I have no regrets for. Yeah.
Good. All right. Wonderful. But tell us, very few people, as you said, B.Ed is a safe option for girls in India. It's well known. How does one decide to do an M.Ed and then a PhD in education? I'm sure young people will want to hear from you. So, and I also want to hear from you. So let's have it.
So there could be multiple explanations, but I would share two different, perspectives. One, even though it's a safer option for girls and something which our family also, our society also accepts. If a woman has to go out and work, they would never mind a woman working as a teacher. So, but then once we come, it's also a reality that teaching as a profession is not that respectful in a sense, in terms of the salary, in terms of mobility, professional mobility. It's still not that respectable, and it has its own limitation in terms of to what extent you can grow in the field. So many youngsters, if they do not and could not join school as teachers, they, pursue their higher degrees in MEd, and because that gives an option to become teacher educator. That also comes with an option to become a researcher in the field of education, consultant, junior project fellow. So a lot of avenues open other than just teaching. So that is one, perspective. And second, people like me who want to go into research and policy design towards the higher, level. So that is another rationale. And unlike many countries in the world, which require one to undergo professional teaching experience to become a teacher educator before one becomes a teacher educator. In India, we don't have such, criteria. One can become a teacher educator even if one doesn't have any teaching experience in the school. So this comes with, both plus and minuses. It has its own pros and cons. But and it's also become relatively difficult if one wants to switch from teaching profession in teacher in a school towards a teacher in a higher education system. So even that has bit of limitations in the terms how the teachers in the school are considered and looked in terms of respect and stature in the society. So that switch also is difficult. So the youngsters try to get into the higher level, rather than getting caught at the lower levels in the education profession. So this is my understanding.
Okay, good. All right. Anything else you want to add here? You seem to be running out of things you want to say. But in case you want to say something more, please go ahead.
I would just like to say thanks to you. Gratitude, want to convey my gratitude because youth hardly gets this forum unless they have big achievements. But your Vidpads have, that kind of diversity where people, especially youngsters who may not have those accomplishments, but they get this stage and platform to really express themselves, whoever they are. And I have watched some of these videos. So it has, such diversity starting from students who are still pursuing undergraduation to PhD to early career researcher or people who are into field and gaining some grassroots experience. I feel we can do a research study on these experiences also to collaborate. But then that's something as a researcher, I feel, I mean, that's the kind of resource that you are building up.
Well,
I can really analyze.
honestly, I am still an academic at heart, and I don't intend to do any research on state. But I think that by the time we have had, say, the end of 2024, there's enough material on it to at least do a MA thesis.
Yes.
To look at it, because the data are, or should I say, uncontaminated. Okay, so you are getting, like you said just what is in your mind. It's not guided by questions.
Right.
And it's not controlled by the host, which is me. So you are getting raw data, qualitative, not quantitative. But if you can do a content research, then I think, yes, it is indeed it's not quite enough to do a PhD, but it's enough to do a master's dissertation as to difference between speakers from Delhi and outside Delhi. Certainly, one could, I mean, even I have some thoughts about it, but I don't put those thoughts out. And sometimes I write on LinkedIn the common trends that I witness. I don't take notes. I don't want to be sort of research oriented in this. I don't want to, but there's enough in it that you can say, listen, and there's even, you can write how the format has evolved in the 1.5 years. Because we started, I mean, I deliberately started with no format, none, because I wanted it to grow organically, and how it has come to serve some purposes of which I had no thought ever. So good, thank you for that. I know it is a source of raw materials for future work, and certainly an archive of, and you can, 3, 4, 5 years later, you can even go back and read those, view those documents, and do a research on how they changed in the 4, 5 years, right? What I'm saying is that you have authentic, clean, uncontaminated, qualitative data.
Yes.
Okay.
Very rich experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, and hopes, aspirations, and constraints, and You
Yeah.
can, okay, anyway, let's not talk about that too much. It's your turn if you want to say something more. Otherwise, we can end it here.
No, thank you so much for this opportunity
Okay, all right.
because often we talk in conferences and all, but that's more guided and very structural and mechanical.
Mm.
But this is a forum where we are just speaking out of our heart, as you all, mentioned. So thank you so much for that.
Okay, good. Let's end it here. I'll be back with another young person or an expert soon. Bye till then. Bye, everybody.